We're tremendously honored now to welcome the other lead performer in Neo Ned, and anyone that checks out this film, trust me, she is a revelation. She's a beautiful and exceptionally talented actress whose credits include Love and Basketball, Bad Boys 2, and Running with Scissors, and she can also be seen later this summer with Eddie Murphy in the comedy Meet Dave. It is a great pleasure to welcome to Movie Geeks United, Miss Gab.
How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I was listening to the tail end of Van and Jeremy, and I was a little bummed that I couldn't chime in a little bit earlier, but I had to work. But I'm just so glad to be able to call in.
Yeah, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to speak with you because, especially watching the film, I mean, it's such a movie that's just shared by both you and Jeremy. I mean, it's unimaginable. It's so half and half. It belongs to both of you equally. I want to know what kind of fascinated you about the script when you first read it.
Because it's kind of nuts, I mean, this is the person who was in this cheerleading showdown, and I'm blowing up people and cars and Bad Boys, and,
right?
And I just come off of 2 action movies. And I just sort of felt a little pigeonholed, and I also didn't know what I was even capable of doing. Maybe I am a hack. I don't know. So I was like, let me try to find something that scares the crap out of me. And they're like, I think I got something for you. And when I read it, I was like, this scares the bejesus out of me. I think I want to do it. I want to, at least try and do my best. And getting on set with Jeremy and Van and all the other great actors. I just didn't want to let anybody down, and it was a project I really believed in. So,
how did you prepare for this? Did you do any preparation for this part?
You know what? Unfortunately, or fortunately, my life is sort of preparation for this part as a sexual assault.
I understand that all too well. So, okay.
Yeah, as a sexual assault survivor, I'm a big advocate. For sexual assault awareness and speaking on behalf of so many survivors. So unfortunately, my life was a bit of research, and I just drew from all those feelings, and especially the darkest places that kind of, I hate to say incident, but that kind of assault can take you.
Right.
You really feel like you've lost it, like you have lost your mind. So I just try to just remember, literally, and just recall.
Right. Okay. That's wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that had to have been kind of the element that frightened you the most about the part. I would think about tackling this role is to how, but it's ultimately very inspiring too. How you can take something like that and use it for your art. I mean, and to inspire others. And what strikes me about the movie is it starts out it could be a joke movie, a setup for a joke, and yet it's so they find the depth in this relationship. And I'm wondering, was the rehearsal involved? Did you spend a lot of time with Jeremy to get to know him and develop this relationship?
Well, it's a really small cast, so it was just kind of, and it was, an independent film. So it wasn't like we had these, ginormous trailers, and everyone kind of retreats to their own space. We spent a lot of time with, just each other, and I spent a lot of time just getting to know each other, just. Partly out of boredom, but, and then it worked for our, what we were doing. But he's such a cool guy, and it's a friendship that I leaned on a lot during filming, but it's a friendship I value so much now. But, we just kind of slowly got to know each other, and but it almost kind of worked that we didn't have this huge wealth of knowledge about each other because there was so much exploration that we were able to do with the characters as we were going along. As our relationship in real life is evolving and expanding, our relationship on screen was evolving and expanding. So it kind of worked for us.
Yeah, tell me about this relationship between Ned and Rachel, because it's so kind of outside of the box. What draws her to him?
I think she sees the good in him, and she sees, that there's that stereotypical women try to find men that they can fix. And if this ain't a project, I don't know what is.
Right.
You look for those, wounded people, and obviously on the surface of things, him being a neo-Nazi skinhead who, is flipping the N-word every other, word and hates everybody. They're so unlikely, but at the root of it, they're just two really, really wounded people who felt abandoned by the people who should have been there the most for them, which is their parents. And so they really have a lot in common in their souls, and that's sort of what draws them to each other. And despite the physical trappings that they put themselves in.
Yeah, you've performed in movies that are big budget, and I take it this is a smaller independent film. Is there
smaller budget?
What's that?
I said yes, it's a smaller budget.
Yeah, is there a difference in how that affects your performance?
You kind of have to get it right, sort of a lot quicker. If you've got film to burn on a larger film, you can do, take after take after take after take after take. But on a smaller budget, film is like gold. You can't waste it. So you have to be prepared. You have to deliver, in one or two takes, because we literally just don't have the time nor the money to waste on, an actor or a setup that's just not right, or an actor that's not prepared. So you kind of got to be a little bit more on it and present and ready to go.
I have a question from the chat room.
Go ahead.
What do you prefer, making an independent film or a big studio film? That's from the Rush show in our chat room.
You know what? I like to mix it up. I mean, if I have the opportunity. I mean, unfortunately, with jobs being scarce, the jobs that you like don't always like you back.
Right.
There's projects that love you, and you're like, ooh, I can't do that. My career will be over. So it's trying to find a mix of projects that you like and like you back, and the check clears. Those would be the larger ones.
Right.
And then projects that you're actually passionate about, that mean something to you, that only your mother may see, but you're pouring your heart and your soul into it, and you're not really getting anything back financially, but you're getting in terms of your art and being creative and your soul is being fed tenfold, and you can't really put a price tag on that. So I try to mix it up, between the two.
So what did Rachel give you from the Neo Ned experience?
I love that she got justice in the end, in the way that I wish I had justice, that the dude was dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of putting it bluntly, but I really wish there was not a man walking around, whether that be in prison or on the streets, that had done this kind of thing to somebody, and certainly not to me, and who gets to kind of have a life. I love that he dies. I love that he dies. I love that he gets exactly. When you rape someone, you are taking their life as they know it away, and I don't think you should live. And so I love that there's that kind of justice in this film.
Well, I love it how you're completely honest with us tonight too.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And it speaks to the tone of the film too, because the tone is it's a little bit of everything, but it's very raw, it's very hardcore, and at the same time it's very tender in moments, and funny. And I'm wondering, was that difficult to find the tone of the film, those different little nuances?
No, because it was all on the page. There's times when you're filming something and you have to create those kinds of things, like the tone and the nuance and the little nuggets of magic. You have to create that, and I'd say about 60-70% of the time, a lot of those beautiful moments you see on screen are what the actors brought to it. But with this, it was on the page. Van wrote a beautiful script, and you didn't have to embellish too much or add too much. As long as you were prepared with the words that he created and the scenes that he created, it was already there. So, that just was already there.
And this is obviously a very personal performance for you, and I'm sure, have you traveled with it in festivals over the past year or so?
No, unfortunately I haven't. I've been fortunate enough to have been working kind of nonstop in the last 5-6 years. So when the festivals have come up, I have, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, been working. So no, I haven't gotten the crowd response, but I've from being there. But I have run into so many people who've seen the film, at these festivals, whether that be in Palm Beach or Minneapolis. The response from the film, especially I actually got to go to Tribeca, and the response was overwhelming. So I felt validated. It's awful to say that you kind of rely on that, but I definitely felt validated.
Yeah, but what do you sense that people are getting from this role, from this character, and what do you hope that they get from it?
You know what? From judging by the reactions that I've gotten, the discussions I've had, some people, when they walk up and they're crying, you obviously get that they can relate to, the violence that existed, in both of their lives. Some people are angry. So and a lot of people are angry just at interracial, period. Screw that he's a, neo-Nazi. Just, why would you be with a white boy? Period. On screen. Like, period. He could have been, the President of the United States, but the fact that he's white, some people were very angry. Some people were, offended by the language. But my whole thing is, I need you to feel something. Yeah. I don't want you to walk out and you could care less, or somebody asks you about it a few months from now. You're like, I can't remember. This is one of those movies that you're always going to remember, whether you loved it or you hated it, whether you were offended or you were moved. And that's really all I can hope for.
Yeah, and you're definitely going to feel something. I mean, it's a very raw, challenging experience, and I was captivated by it from start to finish. I think it's a tremendous piece of work, and I really think you're a revelation in it.
Thank you so much.
And it deserves to be seen for your performance alone. It's fantastic. Tell me what you have upcoming. You have a big summer movie coming up, don't you?
I do. I've got Meet Dave with Eddie Murphy and Elizabeth Banks and Kevin. We have a huge, Scotty Conn, a huge cast coming out July 11th. And I just wrapped this film in Jersey called Cadillac Records, basically telling the story of chess records in the 40s, 50s, and 60s with Etta James, Muddy Waters, Little Walter, and Len Chessman, who's played by Adrian Brody. We've got Jeffrey Wright. We've got Mos Def. Yeah. We've got Beyonce Knowles. Insane cast. And I just finished my little run on Ugly Betty. So right now I'm actually just, for the first time in, I don't even know how long, I'm actually at home with my dogs and getting to see my friends. So it's a welcome break.
Yeah, you've been working so much, but you absolutely deserve it. And you got to tell me, what is it like working with Eddie Murphy when he's in that comedic zone?
A dream come true. I mean, I was a sick, crazy, obsessive fan. Like, I could say every line of every Eddie Murphy movie.
Right.
So I didn't know what to say. I felt kind of like starstruck, and I'm supposed to be a love interest. And so I would Google him every day, every morning before I'd leave, and I would look at the cast and crew list so I would have something to talk about. I'm like, yeah, so when you did Live, I noticed the key grip on that movie, and like I would just try to come up with random crap to say because he's a genius, just a comedic genius, and such a cool guy, but I just didn't know what the hell to say. What the hell do you say to Eddie Murphy?
Right.
So I would Google him like a nerd and just try to come up with stuff to say to him.
That had to
it's supposed to usually talk about themselves. So tell me more about you. Back to you. That tends to work best.
And the other film is Cadillac Records, you said, and I did see that cast, and you mentioned it, Adrian Brody and Jeremy Wright. I believe Jeremy Wright plays Muddy Waters. Is that the character he plays?
Yeah, no, Jeffrey Wright plays Muddy Waters. We've got Columbus Short playing Little Walter. We've got Mos Def playing Chuck Berry. Beyonce playing Etta James. I always butcher Emmanuel's last name, Chigger. She was in Entourage. Her last name is a little tough, but she's playing Adrian Wright. Oh, the cast is unbelievable.
Wow.
Cedric the Entertainer. Yeah, I mean, we've got an amazing cast.
And when does that open, Cadillac Records?
We literally just finished. So I think we're hoping it'll be done in time for Toronto.
Okay, great.
Fantastic.
Right.
Do we have a caller? If we can take this real quick. 774, go right ahead.
Yes, hi, everybody. Hi.
Hey.
Gabrielle.
How
are you? I just want to ask a question. I do a little acting myself, and I've had some films put in front of me. I just did something for GBH. I played a whaler on a ship, and I'm getting presented with these other independent films. I wanted to ask you the question, have you ever taken on an independent project? And I know you read through your scripts, but have you ever surprised yourself and after about halfway when the project was done, you find out there was something in it that you kind of regretted? Have you ever regretted anything?
Not on an independent film, because pretty much I have a lot more creative control. Like whatever I sign on to do, that's what we're shooting. So there's no deviation. But definitely on a larger budgeted film earlier in my career, yeah, I signed up for a project, and in the middle of filming, there were there was a major scene that was added that involved me not having any clothes on and being a stripper. That was not in what we had signed on for. And so I had to, I didn't realize I had a voice that I could say, no, I'm not really comfortable doing this. So I didn't, and I shot it. And there it is forever, my butt, 50 feet high for my parents to see.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that was earlier on in my career, and I've since have been very clear contractually what I will and will not do. What I'm signing up to shoot is what I see on the page now. Any changes have to be mutually agreed upon. But that comes more with experience and what you're able to put in your contract.